All right, welcome back, Hononegah, Algebra 1. 1.4 Day 2 notes. We're going to solve equations that have two absolute values, and this can be a little bit tricky. So in order to solve an absolute value that has two absolute values, you're still going to need one for the positive and one for the negative, but you're going to keep one of the absolute values the same. So I'm going to show this right here. Notice the ax plus b is the same as what's inside, and this one is the same as what's inside. But the second one, the first absolute value is the same, but the second one is the negative of what's inside the absolute value and the negative of the parenthesis of what's inside the absolute value. So here we go. So you got 3x minus 4 equaling x, or, and the other one would be 3x minus 4 equaling negative x. And then you're going to solve it just like you would any other Algebra 1 question. So you need to get the x's on the same side. So if you subtract x, you'd get 2x, but then you'd have to add 4 divide by 2, x would equal 2 is one answer. So if you plug 2 in for this, it should work, and it does. 3 times 2 minus 4 would be 6 minus 4 is 2 equals 2. The next one, I'm going to go ahead and subtract x this time and get negative 4x, and x is equal to 1. So again, if you plug 1 in, it works. You end up with 3 times 1 minus 4, which is negative 1. Absolute value is positive 1, equals positive 1. So now, 4x minus 10 equals 6x plus 3. And then the other one, and I'm going to give myself some more space here, 4x minus 10 equals the negative of 6x plus 3. So that requires a little bit more work. So here we go. I'm going to do the top one. I'm going to subtract 4x and get 2x. I'm going to subtract 3 and get negative 13. And then I divide by 2 to solve. The next one, I would distribute. And again, I want to get the x's on the same side. This time I'm going to add 6x to get 10x. I'm going to add 10 to get 7. And divide, I get 7 tenths. One for the positive, one for the negative. So the same thing as we did in section 1.4, except 2x plus x equals x minus 8. And then 2 plus x equals negative x minus 8. Now, this one's going to cause a little bit of an issue, so I want to make sure we caution here. I'm going to subtract x, and uh-oh, it's gone. So in this particular case, there is no solution for this particular case. Like, this one does not work. But since we have another one to solve, it doesn't mean there's no solution to all of them. It just means there's no solution to that case. So I'm going to add x to get 2x. I'm going to subtract 2 to get 6. And divide by 2, I get x to equal 3. So if I plug 3 in, it works. So don't put no solution. The only answer to this question is 3. So each of the cases are kind of treated separately. So the positive case, which basically is writing it just the way it is, and then the negative case, I would take one of the absolute values and do the negative. So in the top one, when you subtract 5x, this one doesn't work. There isn't a solution to that case. But in the second one here, I'm going to distribute the negative. I'm going to add 5x to get the x's on the same side. I'm going to add 2 and divide by 10. So x would equal negative 1/5. 2 tenths reduced. So now, anytime we have a star question, you're going to do this ones on your own. So hit pause. Welcome back. So I'm going to show you and see if you got the answers right here. So I subtract x. I subtract x to get 1x, and I subtract 1 to get 7, so x equals 7. Second case is the negative. Distribute the negative. I'm going to subtract x to get negative 3x. I'm going to add 1 to get 9. Divide by negative 3. X is equal to negative 3. The positive and the negative. Solving the positive, I'm going to subtract 2x to get 1x. I'm going to add 12 to get 17. Next one, I'm going to distribute the negative first. Oops, that's a minus 5. We get the x's on the same side, so I'm going to add 2x to get 5x. I'm going to add 12 to both sides and get 7. And so x is equal to 7/5. So there's 2 answers to this question. Hopefully you got both of those right. So in closure, let's talk about this. Anytime we're doing an absolute value equaling a number, that number needs to be positive, and then you would set the equations, one for the positive and one for the negative, and solve both. If you have an absolute value equaling an absolute value, you're still going to do one for the positive and one for the negative. You're just going to need to put parentheses around the negative side because it's a binomial. So solving both of those, or excuse me, just the first step in solving both of those would be writing the equations. Now consider the equation here. If absolute value of A equals the absolute value of B, if A equals 4, what could B equal? Think about that. If A is 4, well, couldn't B equal 4 and B be -4, and it would work for both? So now, homework assignment today is a worksheet. You can find it in your packet. If you have any questions, please make sure to talk to your teacher, and good luck.